This year, the ROG FLOW Z13 comes with a refresh, so instead of the i9 12900H, we now have a 13900H, and instead of the 3000 series GPUs, the 2023 version comes with an RTX 4050 or 4060. And when you've got a CPU that's faster than a Ryzen 5800X and it's paired with a GPU that rivals a desktop tier RTX 3060 inside a 13.4-inch tablet, you can neither laugh nor joke anymore. This baby equals a premium gaming PC from a year or two ago at most. And if that wasn't enough, ROG has teamed up with ACRNM to showcase an even better Z13, featuring an RTX 4070, 32GB of DDR5 RAM, and a design that's quite mind-boggling. ACRNM is a design company that makes, among other things, clothing, but also designs everything from footwear to tech accessories for big brands like Nike and others. Republic of Gamers isn't working with ACRNM for the first time, the ROG Zephyrus G14 ACRNM from 2020 being a very successful example. And that means a new overlap between ROG and ACRNM can give the world a badass product both in looks and power. The moment I laid my hands on this model, I knew this crossover isn't just words. The gadget comes in a box with different protectors than we are used to on a laptop. Then we ran into accessories. A designer bag for the charger, a strap for carrying the laptop, which can turn into a harness for hands-free support when needed, a stylus also designed by ACRNM, and even the charger has ACRNM lettering. Then I unwrapped the tablet and I was left speechless. The FLOW Z13 ACRNM's protective layer is actually a hard case made from mill machine 6063 aluminum alloy, and it is a masterpiece. Aside from how well it matches the tablet, the back has an intricate pattern with visible tooling marks and all sorts of geometric details. But this hard case also comes with some functional features. A kickstand that allows you to prop the tablet on your desk in both portrait and landscape format, a slot for the microSD card, an opening that houses the camera, and a hatch for reaching the M2 SSD. On the back, we also find a few cooling vents and some rubber feet. On the sides, in addition to the ACRNM graphics, we find the USB-A and USB-C ports, the audio jack, and typical for the FLOW family, a port for plugging in an external GPU, if the stock RTX 4070 isn't enough for you. In the corners are rubberized bumpers that also include attachment points for the carry strap. The eerie design also carries over to the back of the keyboard, which magnetically attaches to the tablet, like this, sporting a black leather embossed pattern. Fun fact, the design is partly done by Phil Saunders, the artist who did Iron Man's suit design, and I guess that explains a lot. And speaking of the keyboard, it too has a custom design. The keys bear some esoteric symbols that look vaguely like letters. The touchpad is ample, but this keyboard bears the same curse as its siblings in this type of convertible. It feels flimsy and very thin, but at least it's backlit and looks really cool with the lights on. In front of the keyboard we have the screen, which is a 13.4-inch IPS Nebula display with a 2560 by 1600 resolution, an adaptive refresh rate of up to 165 Hz and 100% DCI-P3 coverage, obviously with integrated touchscreen. The screen also benefits from a MUX switch, significantly reducing latency. The 130-watt USB-C charger is small and fits perfectly into the tablet's design theme, and the quality stylus is custom made too. The 65-watt battery is generous for the device's size and promises over 7 hours of regular work and up to 14 hours of light use. This particular FLOW Z13 model is slightly larger than the regular version, 318 by 222 by 20 mm, and it weighs around 1.30 kilograms. Overall, the device is a statement and will certainly catch your eye. It's not for everyone, but it has a bold design, it is solid and practical, a combination of qualities you don't find too often. On top of that, the portability is downright extreme, especially for what lies under the hood. But somehow the form factor defies the very nature of a gaming device. The screen is relatively small and the keyboard is too thin. The FLOW Z13 placed itself from the start at the top of a very sparsely populated league. that of gaming tablets, on the assumption that it doesn't have competition. Okay, the device could be further labeled, for example, a transformer, a two-in-one, but even by that definition, there's no rival that even comes close to its performance. And it couldn't anyways, because ROG has always gone all in with the FLOW Z13. In the acronym edition, this model features an Intel Core i9 13900H, an RTX 4070 and 32GB of DDR5 RAM. The SSD is a 1TB Western Digital, so I think I've dotted everything about raw performance. It's clear that as much as the Z13 acronym is fiddling about with the design, it's just as serious when it comes to specs. Before the testing, here's a table with the full specs. Obviously, we dived right into synthetic tests to gauge performance and progress against the 2022 version. You should know that all tests were done with the tablet plugged in and with GPU mode Ultimate on. We started with Cinebench R20, where the 13900H scored 7140 points. In Cinebench R23, it scored 18,744 points, placing it well above the 2022 version, which scored around 11,000. The results places the 13900H very close to a desktop Ryzen 7 7700X, so in the upper end of the rankings. In TimeSpy, the tablet scored 9,949 overall, a far cry from any of the 2022 releases and broadly on par with a mid-range gaming system. Here are all our tests from which a clear bottom line emerges. The CPU-related scores are excellent compared to previous years, and the overall performance is groundbreaking for a tablet. But let's be clear. The FLOW Z13 acronym is nowhere near comparable to a true gaming laptop. For example, the 2023 variant of the ROG Strix Car 18 completely obliterates this little tablet, and even some of the last year's variants of the Strix G15 series have better performance on the graphics subsystem, though not on the CPU. But for its weight and size, the FLOW Z13 acronym is simply mind-blowing. Obviously, we also tried some games, not a lot, but enough to get an idea. And that idea is that the 2560 by 1600 resolution is about as high as the GPU can comfortably handle when it comes to AAA games. So we averaged 54 FPS in Red Dead Redemption 2 set on Ultra, 77 FPS in Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Ultra, and 53 FPS in Metro Exodus set on Ultra but without ray tracing. Just for fun, we ran CSGO on high at 1080p and got 468 frames per second, which only confirms the CPU's excellent performance. Let's talk about temperatures though, because you can't help but think about them when you look at the slim body of this tablet. The Z13 acronym's cooling system ticks off Asus sleekest technologies yet. Liquid metal as the interface between CPU and cooler, vapor chamber and arc flow fans with an improved design over the 2022 version. Temperatures fell where I expected. In the CPU test sessions, the 13900H reached as high as 95 degrees, while the GPU wasn't impressed with the tasks I had it handle, reaching a high of 75 degrees. The CPU didn't go over 75 degrees in the gaming sessions either, so bonus points for the excellent cooling. The conclusion is clear, and we confirmed it several times during testing. The FLOW Z13 acronym is a special product. It was and still is the best gaming tablet in the world. And with the ROG XG external graphics card interface, the tablet can become absurdly powerful in games and graphics applications. Asus has designed this tablet for several use cases. So we have gaming, then we have the graphic designer scenario using the stylus and the touchscreen boosted by NVIDIA Canvas. We also have the multitasking scenario where you use an external display hooked up via USB-C. We tested some of these scenarios and came to the following conclusions. For gaming, the Z13 acronym is a good piece of hardware, though in combination with an external keyboard and mouse for obvious reasons. The screen with a refresh rate up to 165 Hz is bright and the response time is very good, as are the viewing angles. A pair of headphones helps a lot because the built-in speakers are just crappy. If you want to take it to the next level, you can also use an external GPU, which gives the CPU more headroom when it comes to power consumption and temperatures. For drawing, the Z13 acronym is again very good. The screen responds well to stylus use, and the full DCI-P3 spectrum reproduction is a bonus. However, the screen is glossy, so it quickly becomes a fingerprint exhibition. On the bright side, when used on the go, this tablet works like a charm. The battery lasts pretty well, especially if you are mindful of the brightness and performance settings on the GPU and CPU. The harness that allows you to use the tablet without holding it in your hand is as silly as it is useful when you're on the move and have nowhere to place it, just like a hot dog vendor at a baseball game. Besides, the back design is a real tourist attraction when you're just carrying the tablet or using it in a public space. The keyboard is large enough, the space between the keys is also sufficient, the trackpad is precise and the clicks have good feedback. Apart from the mediocre speakers, I had nothing to complain about it technically. The interface moves brilliantly, the tablet starts up quickly and feels great in use. The back heats up quite a bit when playing games, but that also means the aluminum picks up much of the heat generated by the CPU and GPU. The battery was okay, but not necessarily in the optimistic autonomy range stated by Asus. Expect about 5 hours of runtime with Spotify on, lots of tabs opened in Chrome and some Excel for flavor. The battery charges quickly, close to 50% in just half an hour. If I had to find a nitpick in the design, because I haven't really discovered any real problems, I might notice that the laptop can't be used properly when it has the carrying strap attached. It's a minus, but it's trivial next to the quality of the product itself. And let me add another downside, this time a subjective but a very annoying one. While for the most part the artwork on the tablet gives off an interesting cyberpunk vibe, the stylized markings on the keys, and especially the position of those runes on the keys, really threw me off because they are so freaking confusing. I generally don't look at the keys when typing, but when I really need to navigate, the glyphs placed left down on each key gave my brain a blue screen. Maybe I'm a creature of habit, but it doesn't seem right to get used to a design element that makes life difficult. Otherwise, the tablet is very cool on the street, in cafes and public spaces. I felt so hipster that at one point I looked down and I noticed a pair of sneakers growing out of my feet. Branded sneakers, of course, because having a tablet like this dooms you to a life of fancy. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about the price, because such a device is not for those who run on a budget. The FLOW Z13-ACRNM is a tablet without a hint of discretion that shows off at social gatherings, packs a powerful punch and flaunts its style and performance. This thing right here flexes right in your face. To me, this tablet is a creative experiment mixed with some engineering badassery. A pleasure to test and use for a few days, so well done ROG. You've rightly earned your few customers you'll have on this tablet all over the world, but more importantly, I say you've stuck to your tradition of occasionally doing crazy things. So let me hear you now. How do you like the FLOW Z13-ACRNM? I told you it's love or hate, but try to look at it beyond the traditional standards of looks and functionality, because its purpose is just that, to be different. Well, that was all for today. If you want to see us tinkering with more crazy laptops, throw a subscribe to your faithful tech witchers here on Techniqualities. Thanks for watching, see you next time.